Hello, Pat here. In the last video, which I made a memorial to Gordon Lightfoot, when I said I was writing a Sly Cooper fanfiction that actually involves the Edmund Fitzgerald, I wasn't joking. But this doesn't actually just covers this. This fiction, it covers two others as well. What I'm going to show you is some artwork that I made over the years. But before I even show this, keep in mind some things. Some of these pictures are going to be dark. They are not meant for children. In fact, they are meant for people that are over 18 plus. Alright. Plus I didn't make these in computer. I made these myself with a whole bunch of pencils, particularly colored pencils. Alright. With those simple rules out of the way, let's begin. First, before I show them, I need to organize them. If you ended up getting like an ASMR from this, well, it's alright. Alright. We're going to start with the Sly Cooper fanfiction itself first. Then we'll cover another one. And the third one I'm only going to mention. But keep in mind, they are actually part of the same universe, which I'm calling the 110 CMA universe. What does that even mean? Well, I'll tell you later. First, we'll start with the very first. Just to get you started. Sorry about that, I got my fan going. Yep. This is actually the very first drawing I ever meant on this type of paper. First we begin with what is going on here. Well, it's easy. In this universe, sure, we see Sly witnessing his father's demise by the hands of clockwork. When I first draw this about 7 or 8 years ago. I originally intended for Clockwork's entire hand to go right through Connor. However, we can easily see that he would usually grab. He would have grabbed Connor and would have squeezed him. And of course that will do some internal damage, broken ribs, even a punctured lung. But as we can see here, let's just say the force was a little too great. And of course, we can easily see how does the Edmund Fitzgerald ties into this. They were both killed on this date at this time because it was on 7:10 p.m. that the first mate of the Anderson contacted Ernest Massorley on the Fitzgerald to see how they were faring. Massorley replied, "We're holding our own." It was done at this time, and that was the last contact that the Fitzgerald had a touch with anyone. And you're probably wondering why the Fitzgerald has a hat as well as a mouth. I'll explain later. Oh, here it is. Here we see what happened later that night. Here, we can easily see the Fiendish Five had all gone, leaving the Phoebus Raccoonus nothing more in tatters. Why I didn't draw the Phoebus Raccoonus in, I may never know. Of course, this is actually one of my recent drawings. Here's we see young Sly hugging his father for the last time. Yep. Yeah, you can see he's uttering his last words and of course breathing his last breaths. Here we move on. A few years in the future. When I made this about 5 years ago, I had to use a ruler to make this. No joke, I had to use a ruler. And these shapes were all just in my mind. And yes, that's a rock. Hey, the Murray must have his pet rock. Here we see Sly was about ready to go to sleep when Bentley called him over and told Sly about the Edmund Fitzgerald. Here, I have a page here, but of course I draw about 32 years ago. Writer's block, you know how it is. Before I show this picture, I must advise those who are squeamish, turn away now. What I'm showing you and what I'm going to tell you is not for the faint of heart. It's not a sex scene. It is actually another death scene. Yet, however, from the previous one underneath here, it's far more worse. So if you are squeamish, look away now or cover your eyes. Cover your eyes, take off your headset. I'm showing to this at 3, 2, last warning, now. This happened before this, but I'm putting in this anyway right now. 2 days before Sly would ever heard about the Edmund Fitzgerald and his ghost. Yes, I said his. I'll tell you why later. A pack of punks, particularly greaser punks, came in what's left on Connor Cooper's house, and figured they could use it for their base of operations. However, Connor, who is now a ghost, thought otherwise. And of course, it believed to this scene right here. For those who might be questioning who is this person, this is the Greasers' leader, who thought it would be a good idea to invade a haunted house and call out the ghosts in a brutal and offensive manner. We all know that, according to the ghost hunters, according to the guys from Ghost Adventures, ghost hunting is not for the faint of heart, and it can sometimes be dangerous. Although it may not be as brutal as what you see here, it can be life-threatening, and it could be very dangerous. So let's move on. 7 months after this would have passed. No, not 7 months. About a week later, Sly would return. He will return. Let me get this up here. He will soon return to the house he remembers so well. Once Bentley and Murray was given a tour of the house, it was getting dark. It was right then and there. While Murray and Bentley were sleeping, Sly came across his father's ghost. It will lead to a discussion to ask why, it leads Sly to ask why his father is so covered with chains. No, that's not poop. That is rust. Sometimes, let's just say, water plus metal equals rust. And that's what's shown here. Anyway, Sly asked his father why he's covered in these chains. And I'm pulling up the full screen right now. You can pause here. The words may be hard to pronounce, but if you look very closely, you can easily make out what I'm trying to make here. You can pause it here if you want. Now, this is all it for the first Sly Cooper fanfiction, which I aptly named The Fate of Connor Cooper and the Big Fits. I'll tell you, that's all you need to know. for it right now. I haven't drawn down Fitzgerald and his death, as well as Anderson's search for Fitzgerald. And between you and me, I think there was some form of relationship between the Fitzgerald and the Badger. Let me know if you want to hear more of that. Alright. That is it. With a Sly Cooper fanfiction involving the Fitzgerald. And of course, I remember listening to Gordon Lightfoot's music back ever since I was little. I remember hearing the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald the first time when I was a little boy. But that is a part of my life I'd rather not talk about. Now, let's see if I can get this in numerical order. And of course, there are some pages I'd rather not show due to reasons. Now, of course, I may not show you all the pages, but I promise you, they will be shown in their own good time. This also has Sly in it, along with several other characters. In fact, this takes place many years, almost a decade later, in 1993 to 1994, April 1993 to November 1994 particularly. What happened in that time? For Sly, of course. Well, in this universe, Sly, of course, went back in time. And of course, he returns to the present, but not by machines, not by science, not by Bentley's time machine, but a force even greater than I. Greater than the United States President. The power that Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin think they are. The force that calls itself the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. In fact, the numbers in the 1-10-7 CMA universe reflects this, but more on that later. Sly became part of an elite task force of a United States organization. And unfortunately, in April 1993, He and the rest of his squad. No, that's not Wonder Woman, for those who don't know. More about that guy later. He's not gay, I'm telling you this. Here, he, his captain, and the rest of his squad thought this guy was going to be put into cuffs by them and put under arrest and sent over to a nearby organizational hub hidden underground. However, well, if we all know the transformation scene from The Princess and the Frog, we all see here things are about to go south for them tremendously. Next thing they knew, they ended up in Skagway as werewolves. However, before I proceed, let me clear the air on werewolves of this universe do. Sure, they howl the moon. Sure, you can be turned by being bitten, but there's something about that I need to tell you. In this universe, werewolves only bite. They only bite humans in self-defense. That's right. In this universe, they bite humans because they were being threatened. Another way you become werewolves is by being cursed. By means of a curse. However, how that curse is given may differ the appearance. They may differ the appearance on how that werewolf will look like by the witch or voodoo doctor. And it's up to the organization, that Sly Squad known as the Colorado Division of the United States Freelance Police Force, a secret organization run by the United States government, to track down these paranormal creatures, people of magic, and yes, Miss Ruby is considered as such, as well as tracking down ghosts. Not by the Ghostbusters style, no. They get rid of ghosts by telling them it's time to move on. I'll tell you more about these. I'll tell you more of this organization later. But now onto the picture. They arrived in Whitehorse and decided to take a ship out of Skagway and back over to a USF base located in Juneau. Upon arriving there, they soon ran into an issue. Not with the ship or people around them, it involves the truck. When arriving there, a crucial part of the truck's cooling system, the radiator, finally gave up the ghost. But this is a little ahead of this picture. Now they have left Juneau. The captain is in the driver's seat. And Sly and the group sergeant is back there. And you're probably wondering before I show you the next picture, yes, I named the captain after myself. But not fully. Moving on. And of course, this takes place in February 1994. Now, we move on. Here we move on to September 1994. Of course, they came across Sly's old house. And Sly told his captain what happened. And what happened that terrible night. You're probably wondering what on earth they're wearing. Well, I'll tell you in layman's terms. Have you ever watched The Jungle Book, particularly the 1967 version, made by Walt Disney himself? Rest in peace. Yeah, they're basically wearing the same thing that Mowgli wears. And you're probably wondering, you draw this because you're a Jungle Book fan. Well, that's actually 50% of the reason. It's because not only Sly Cooper is in this, but Mowgli's in this as well. And of course, this is actually Mowgli. But as you can see, from the events of the Jungle Book to here, you can see he has aged. In fact, he's actually 21 in this. He is actually 21 in this fanfiction. The characters' names will be revealed later on. And of course, I have a account on fanfiction.net, but like I said, writer's block is so much of a bitch as karma is. Now, I could easily say that karma is a bitch, writer's block is a Karen. Well, not like, well, Karen minus all the screaming and complaining and the hey, what is your energy? But we're not talking about that entire ball game. Here we move on from September 1994. Well, I say September 1994. In actuality, I don't know when this actually takes place, but I'll come up with what I think. To early fall of 1994, particularly August, September, October, somewhere around there. And you're probably wondering, yes, this is a 1987 Chevrolet Caprice Classic. I have to pull up an actual image of that car to get the dimensions right. And yes, in the original Sly Cooper universe, shock pistols are gone. And the shock pistols are there. In this universe, replace the shock, and you're good. That is a 1911, right? That's a 1911 pistol, right there. And yes, Eddie did not bust through the roof there. That's actually a sunroof. And you probably think, oh, they probably took some gangster's car. No. Although it does look like one, this is actually not one of those gangsters lowriders. This is actually a United States Clearance Police Force lightly armored patrol car. Or lightly armored pursuit car. It depends on which. It depends on, depends how you pronounce it. It's still known as, LAPC. You can call it either both ways. Excuse me, I ate some pizza. Love the flavor, always gives me gas. Alright. And you're probably wondering what specs does this vehicle has other than a sunroof. It has a CB radio, not shown. It has a much higher horsepower gas engine and beefier suspension. It's basically like a if you take a police car and give it military parts. And believe it or not, it doesn't evolve just a Caprice. It also the LAPCs, as they're known, are not just Chevy Caprices. They are also Pontiac Bonnevilles, a whole bunch of Buicks, and a whole bunch of Cadillacs. I'm a GM guy. What do you expect? All right. There are some pictures I would love to show, but they're a little bit too on the rated R side of things. They're not sex scenes, but they are rated 21 and plus. That's all I'm going to show you, except for one. Let's see if I can show it. First I need to find it. Oh, that's not it. Ah, here it is. As you know, as you must know, I'm actually into counseling. To put it lightly, I went through some form of abuse in my life that gave me anger management problems, which I'm still fighting today. And when I was in one of the few times I was in counseling, my counselor told me, why don't you write down a picture of yourself. Well, after going through an actual incident that involves my anger side, I decided to write what happened. That is me. That is my hurtful side, and believe it or not, if you read this, I'm here to tell you this actually did happen. I was listening to a bunch of Kevin MacLeod's spooky music. You can check out his music if you want to. It's definitely something to listen to. I actually had my eyes shut, and well, you see what happened here. I'm not going to show you any. I'm not going to show you any more of my artwork pieces, but I'll tell you, what is the 110.7 CMA universe is. And I'll tell you, and within that I will tell you why I pronounce the Fitzgerald as a he, and why does he have a hat and mouth in one of the pictures. The 110.7 CMA universe is an alternate reality. Sure, all the events such as elections and everything wise happens, and you're probably wondering, why are there humans in this universe as well as anthropomorphic animals and ships? Well, I'll tell you. In this reality, not only anthropomorphic animals exist, but humans and sentient ships and trains. You hear me right. Ships and trains are sentient, not like Thomas the Tank Engine. Not like Thomas the Tank Engine, more like cars. Are in this universe as well. And you're probably wondering, you probably think this is despite a little gore here and there, this is probably going to be like a universe meant for children. I'll tell you what happens in this universe. In a world before and just beyond now, where reality and the rise of race unseen with the supernatural and the paranormal, between fact and possibility, where the haunts of the past, the laws of the present collide with the crimes of tomorrow. Patrolling the United States, particularly between counties, between state lines, in the hottest deserts, most darkest of forests, and the deepest of swamplands, breeds a new form of criminal. Revive forces from that of the devil to achieve their goals. To combat this, in comes a new breed of lawmen. Sometimes these officers are former criminals. Many of these officials are people rejected by humanity because they could be orphans of criminals, or as the world usually calls, this universe calls these people, forest and jungle orphans, who know nature and crime by heart, and vow to put an end to it. From the state squads, such as the Colorado Division, to the U.S. Marshal and truck drivers known as highwaymen, to the ships of this force known as the United States Freelance Navy. These people these are the stories of these people all the way. The story starts all the way from 1967 when Sly Cooper was born. To midpoint, sometime after the second fanfiction, which I'm naming The Golden Heart Adventures. Sometime after these events, all the way to 1997, when the United States Police Force was forced to dissolve due to competition by private individuals. And a story I haven't drawn down yet, called Rails to the North, which follows the stories of the Great Lakes Fleet and the staff and locomotive of America and Northern Railroad. As some of these individuals pray to the one true God for assistance, their stories in this universe will be told. This is their stories. This is their lives. And these pictures that I have shown you are what a small taste of what these stories will be. Probably wondering, is Rails to the North going to be an actual model railroad series, such as Tales of a Rail Yard, The Full Buccaneers, BRM, the Bridge Line? Two of these series have now gone to dust. The answer is, of course, yes. But not this year it will be released. It will be released in the way I see technology, and my current income. Maybe in the next year or two, but I'm not holding down any promises as of yet. You can also take a look at what this universe in Rails to the North is going to be like in the Halloween video I made. The one I made about the Ghost Train 311, which is known as the Ghost Train 311. And before you start saying, oh, it's going to be another Case and Kane Fan 701 ripoff, no, it's not. My version of Ghost Train 311 is different. The story of what happened to 311 is completely different. In fact, it has its roots from way back in 2006 to the original Railway Chronicles made by Rafe Mike, whose current position is unknown. Originally wrote, sort of, a long time ago. Almost two decades now. probably wondering right now in your mind, what happened to his squad? What happened to Sly's squad? What happened to the Colorado division? Did they manage to return to normal alright? No. Well, you're just gonna have to continue watching certain upcoming videos on this channel in the future to learn. And of course, I'm also writing them down in books. So one day, I can read you chapter by chapter. Each chapter of the stories that I've shown you thus far. Now you're probably wondering, what does Mowgli fall into everything in here? And why did you put Sly and Mowgli into the stories? Like I said, and of course the same thing applies with Eddie here. You probably want to know why this character is named Eddie. Well, it looks like you're gonna have to be a little more patient, but it will explained. In the one representing one God and one way for Him through Christ. The 10 represents the 10 commandments. 7, the number of God. The CMA universe. As videos will come within the next few months. Well, that is all I'm going to have to show you for now. I'm going to show you some other pages once I write them all down, all in due time. But in the meantime, I think I'm starting to hear a nearby mermaid that is worshipping a false god. And let's just say this rare raccoon is a little hungry. So, keep your tails dry.